Hi, and welcome to Skill 4. This is the training where we're going to talk about following up with your prospect, but also how to deal with objections. Now, the first thing about following up is doing what you said you would do. Now, if you remember in Skill 2, we talked about creating an appointment. And so the person is expecting you to phone at a specific time. You need to phone at that time. Now, if they said to you you'd call on 10 o'clock on Wednesday, then you need to call at 10 o'clock Wednesday. Not 5 past 10, not 10 past 10, not 1 minute past 10. You need to call at 10 o'clock. And the reason for that is you're trying to build up a trust relationship. Now, if you are opening your conversation with, sorry, I'm late, but, well, the trust relationship's out the window. You said you would do something, you didn't do it, there's no trust. So I cannot stress enough how important it is that when you say you will phone at a specific time, that you actually phone at that time. Then keep a diary, keep an electronic diary or keep a paper-based diary so that you never miss an appointment. If a person's expecting you to call and you don't call, that's horrible. It's horrible for them, and then I forgot to call these people, and it's horrible for you. So keep a diary. Make sure you put the people into that diary immediately when you make the appointment with them. And again, as I say, make sure you're on time for the appointment. If you're not able to make the appointment, because things happen, then reschedule well ahead of time. Now, concept number 2 is the only reason for a connection is to set up the next connection. Now, remember what I said to you in Skill 2 is that your job is not to close the person. Your job is to educate them and get them to a point where they're making a positive decision for themselves. So your job is just to move from connection to connection, and you should never ever leave one connection without having set up the appointment for the next. In that way, you keep the process alive, and that's critical. As soon as the process breaks down and you no longer have your follow-up appointment, well, that's the end of the road. And what you don't want to be doing is badgering people. By setting up an appointment in advance, you are in a situation where they're expecting the call and you're not badgering them. This is a process, and you need to just work through the process and be patient. So you go from connection to connection until the person makes a positive decision, or let's say makes a decision. It could be a negative decision as well, and that's fine, but you keep on going from connection to connection until that decision is taken. Now remember, it takes about 4 to 6 exposures for the prospect to join. So they've got to see the opportunity between 4 and 6 times before they've joined. So if they didn't join on the first time, you've got another 5 times to go. If they didn't join on the 4th time, you've still got another exposure to go. And as a matter of fact, some of the best people in our industry took 10 or 20 exposures to the opportunity to join. And then building a relationship takes time. Remember, this person is going to be part of your team. You're going to have a long-term relationship with them. You're going to be working with them in close proximity and consistently over time. So that takes you time to build that relationship and to develop the interaction. Then developing trust takes time as well. Remember what I said to you about being on time with your phone call? That's all part of building trust. And remember, people will join you if they know you, they like you, and they trust you. You've got to be in a position to give them the time to get to know you. You've got to be the kind of person that they will like. And then you've got to prove to them that you're trustworthy. And that all takes time. If they say yes when you call them, that they've reviewed the material, then your question isn't, so what do you think? That is absolute poison, that question. You must just leave it out of your vocabulary completely. What you want to ask them is, what did you like best? Now, the reason that you ask them what they like best is that you want them to focus on the positives. If you say to them, well, what do you think? Then they're going to give you the negatives, because that's how we're programmed. What did you like best? I look for the positives. If they say the product, well, then we know that the next connection has got to be all about the product. If they say financial freedom or the compensation plan or something to do with the opportunity, then we know that the next exposures have got to be all about the opportunity. Now, another great approach is on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being zero interest and 10 being ready to get started right away, where are you right now? If the number is 7 or lower, then you can't close them. You can't get them into the business. What you want to ask them is, how can I help you get to a higher number? Guys, very few people will first of all say that they're a 1. Most people will say they're 5 or they're 6 or something like that. They'll kind of, well, I'm not in and I'm not out. I'm a 5. So now your question is, how can I help you get to a higher number? That is indicating that you want to help them get the information they need to make a positive decision. So when they tell you how you can help them get to a higher number, you set up the next connection. If the number is 8 or above, you start the closing process, and we'll discuss this later in the course. So let's say the guy says, I'm a 5. You say to him, excellent. So what you're telling me is that you need a bit more information about the product, or you need a bit more information about the compensation plan. If I send you a link with a deep dive to the compensation plan, will you take a look at it? They say, yes. When do you think you'll be able to look at it for sure? They say tomorrow. So if I phone you on whatever the next day is, so it's Thursday, would you have watched it for sure? Yes, I would. Fantastic. What time can I call you? 10 o'clock. Excellent. I'll get hold of you on 10 o'clock on Thursday, and we can see where you're at. How can I help you get to a higher number? Oh, geez, I need to know more about this compensation plan. Excellent. Well, my upline's an absolute expert. If I organize a webinar with him, or if I organize a meeting with him, would you attend? Yes. When would be a good time for you? Tomorrow. Okay, what time? 10 o'clock? Fantastic. Let me organize that for you. What are the possible outcomes here? I'd like to try the product first. That would be a possible outcome. Now, what you can do then is you can schedule a meeting, go around to them, get together with them, share the product with them, let them feel it, touch it, try it out, depending on what the product is, and then help them make the next step, which would be to purchase some product off of the system. And then again, set up the next appointment. Person says, I need to understand a bit more about the compensation plan. Then you schedule a compensation plan discussion. So you get your upline together with them at a coffee shop, or you get your upline on a Zoom meeting, or you get them online to one of the evergreen webinars, or you get them to watch a video. Whatever the tool is that explains the compensation plan in more detail, and then you do the follow-up. So if I send you this link, when will you watch it? Friday, fantastic. So if I call you on Saturday, you will have watched it for sure. What time would be a good time for you? Okay, I'll see you then. So you set up the next connection. They'd like to talk to their spouse. Now, this is a huge one. Every time I've presented this to a married couple, if one of them is there, then they always need to talk to their spouse, and that's fine. I appreciate that. You have got to make sure that the spouse is being approached in the same way as you approach them. In other words, it doesn't help for them to go and try and now explain what you've done through a video to their spouse, because you can't even explain it to them. How on earth are they ever going to explain it to their spouse? So what you want to say is, excellent, I completely understand. If I send you a link, will you watch it with your wife? He says, yes. When do you think you'll watch it for sure? And off you go. So the whole idea is to get the spouse to watch and consume the same material as this person's, it's either a woman or man that you've spoken to, but let's say it's a guy. So his wife will have to watch the same content. And then you set up the next connection. So these are the possible outcomes. You've got to condense these exposures for better results. So you've got to keep the momentum going. If you did 5 exposures over 5 months, your chances of signing up the person is really low. But if you could get those 5 exposures in 1 week, what you're doing is you're creating momentum, you're creating belief, and you're getting them to a point where they can make that decision. Check out the YouTube video. A day later, join the conference call. Next, attend a webinar. Get them onto a 3-way call with your upline. Then attend a live opportunity meeting. And if you can get all of this into a week, your chances of bringing your prospect into the business increase dramatically. So the whole idea is to create some momentum and some urgency. So, hey, John, do you think you'll be able to check this out today? Yes. What time can I give you a call tomorrow? 10 o'clock. Fantastic. I'll follow up with you then. And keep that momentum going. So every day they're watching a new video or getting a new connection with you somehow. Now, objections come up. And when you handle objections, the key thing is to always handle them with empathy. Remember, the person is not saying to you, you're a charlatan, you're a shark, go away, I never want to see you again. All they're asking you for is more information so they can make an informed decision. That's what an objection is. I'm not sure because I don't understand exactly what's going on. Please give me more information. Now, let me just put this into perspective. If the person genuinely understood how this business works, they would get in immediately. There's no question about it. The business is powerful, it's epic, it's a wonderful way to make a living. The compensation plan is amazing. The products are incredible. The mechanisms we use to market the products are awesome. The software is incredible. There's a whole warehousing operation behind this thing. If they genuinely understood what they were getting, they would jump into this business. Absolutely no questions. So the reason they're not jumping in is obviously because they don't understand. So what you want to do is you want to help them to gain the understanding they need, to gain the insights they need. And as I said, that's a communication process and it takes time, but it requires empathy. Now, there's a fantastic objection handling tool called Feel, Felt, Found. So it starts with, I know how you feel, so I can relate to how you feel. As a matter of fact, I felt the same way myself, but this is what I found. And so that opens up the door for you to say, hey, listen, I'm on your side. We're in this together. I felt the same way, but this is what I found. And you can then open them up and show them how you overcome that objection or overcame that objection. So you share how you can relate to their situation. You show them how you or your friend was in the same position, and then outline how you managed to overcome the situation. Now, here's the good news. And this is extremely good news. There are a finite number of objections in our business. Once you know how to deal with them, you never have to worry about them again for the rest of your MLM career. So let's have a look at them. Is this MLM? Is this a pyramid scheme? I don't have the money. I don't have the time. I don't want to bother my friends. And how much do you make? You might find one or two others that sneak in here on the odd occasion. But for the most part, this is it. This is the list you have to deal with. And if you can deal with these objections, then you've immediately got all of the obstacles out of your way. So let's go through these objections one at a time, and let me show you how we deal with it. So the client says, hey, wait a minute, is this MLM? Or this is MLM, isn't it? Or, hey, this is a multi-level marketing scheme, isn't it? That is one of the big ones. For some reason, everybody quakes in their boots when somebody says this. Well, for heaven's sakes, guys, this is an amazing opportunity. This is an incredible business. There's millions of rands of tech and systems backing this business up. This is an incredible opportunity. As I said to you before, if the person understood what they were getting, they would be in. Okay, so is this MLM? It's not a scary question, but you need to know how to deal with it. So this is how we would deal with it. Oh, you have a story. Did you try MLM at some point? What happened? Now understand, what you're trying to do here is you're trying to give them the opportunity to tell you what happens. They don't want to know what you know. They don't care about that. They're looking for an opportunity to tell you their story. That's what they're looking for here. So you need to give them that opportunity to tell them how things went down. And if you don't know how things went down for them, you've got no chance of closing them. So you want to sit and listen carefully to what happened in their life. So they say, yes, I joined a company a few years ago, bought some products, and lost my money. Now that is an age-old story. It's been going on forever. People get suckered into a business because the person promises them they can make a lot of money doing nothing. Then they don't make any money, and then they lose everything. You reply, what do you think was the reason you didn't have success? So you need to dig into this thing. So why do you think you weren't successful? Well, my friend talked me into it. There's it. And that will be, I promise you, 99% of the time, that will be the sentence. I didn't have a lot of time, and I thought more people would join right away, but they didn't. I guess I just lost interest. So the person will have a story, whatever it is. My friend got me into it, or I joined a business hoping I could do X, Y, and Z, and unfortunately it didn't work out for me, and I now sit with a garage full of stock, or I now sit with this, or I now sit with that, and I've had a bad experience. So you reply, do you really think you gave it a fair shot? Now, if the person is honest, if they didn't succeed in our industry, and they're honest, 99% of the time, the vast majority of the time, they will say, no, not really. No, I didn't really give it a shot. So you reply, do you think that network marketing was the problem? Or do you think maybe your timing wasn't right? Now listen, you're not implying that they didn't work. You're not telling them, well, you were a lazy slob. If you'd worked, you would have succeeded. You blame it on the timing. I can tell you the vast majority of the time, the person is going to look for the quickest scapegoat, and that is, it's probably the timing. Now that opens it up to be able to close them. The other option you could do, yes, this is MLM. Do you have any experience with it? Just ask them. They ask you, is it MLM? Don't duck the question. Yes, this is MLM. Do you have some experience with it? Now, you notice I ask a question. They ask the question, is this MLM? I ask them a question back. Do you have any experience with it? So now I'm controlling the conversation. Okay, the next objection is this a pyramid scheme? Now, guys, I've heard all sorts of ways of dealing with this, and for the longest time, I dealt with this by saying, well, yes, it's a pyramid because everything's a pyramid, and churches are pyramid, and companies are pyramids, and governments are pyramids, and so there's nothing wrong with the pyramid. But what is the person asking you? They're actually asking you, are you trying to get me involved in something that's illegal, unethical, immoral, and will get me into trouble? That's what they're asking. They're not asking, is it a pyramid scheme? They're trying to make sure this is legal and legitimate. So your answer to that is, pyramid schemes are illegal, and I would never be part of something illegal. That's it. You don't have to get into the weeds. You don't have to get crusty with the guy. You just say to them, listen, pyramid schemes are illegal. I would never get involved in anything illegal. Moving on. You've dealt with it. You don't need to deal with it again. It's a simple, elegant way of dealing with it. Now, here's a big one. I don't have the money right now. A lot of people will come to you and say, listen, I don't have the money right now. I can't afford this. Now, this is where you use the feel, felt, found. I had the exact same challenge. See, I was in the same place as you. I didn't have enough money to pay my bills, let alone start a new business. 100% with you there. But when I thought about it, I realized that if I didn't have enough money to pay my bills now, how was it going to change in the future? I was tired of being behind. I was tired of always scrambling. I wanted more out of life. I found a way, and it was the best decision I ever made. Okay, so that sentence there, that whole section there is I know how you feel. I felt exactly the same way, and what I found is. Now what you want to do is bring it around to them. Let me ask you something. If you really felt this was a chance for you to take control of your financial future, do you think you could find a way to make it happen? You know, you can really nail this down. If you really, truly felt that this was a chance to control your future, do you think you could find a way to make it happen? If the person really felt this was a way to change their future, I guarantee you they would find a way to make it happen. Same thing with I don't have the time right now. I had the exact same challenge. I didn't have enough time to do anything for myself, let alone start a new business. But when I thought about it, I realized that if I don't do something to free up my time now, how is it going to change in the future? I was tired of being behind. I was tired of always scrambling. I wanted more out of life. So you know what I did? I found a way, and it was the best decision I ever made. Let me ask you something. If you really felt this was a chance for you to take control of your time, do you think you could find a way to make it happen? And again, if they really believe that this is a chance for them to take control of their time, they will say, yes, I'll find a way to make it happen. I don't want to bother my friends. People think that when they get into multi-level marketing, the only option for them is to go and hit on their friends and their family. So as you've seen with Skill 2, we don't have to hit on our friends and family. You can literally go into a mall and find 10 people in 5 minutes. Again, feel, felt, found. I know exactly what you mean. When I got started, that was my number one concern. The last thing I wanted to do was alienate my friends. I was very fortunate because my sponsor took the time to show me how to grow my business without even talking to my friends, and that has made all the difference. I will obviously do the same with you. Now, you could add on to that. So if I could show you a way to build your business without ever talking to your friends, You would be interested in that, wouldn't you? So here's another one. The person says to you, how much are you making? Now, if you're a brand new IBO, you might not be making anything at this point. So you could say something like, I'm just getting started. I'm doing this part-time. But there's one thing that I know for sure. If I don't do something now, nothing is going to change. That is the reason why I'm all in. So do you see how I deal with that? I'm not saying, listen, I'm earning a fortune. I'm not lying about it. I'm being honest. I'm just getting started. I'm doing this part-time. But there's one thing that I know for sure. If I don't do something now, nothing's going to change. That's the reason why I'm all in. Or I've only been doing this for a short time, but my friend has been doing this for a while and is doing really well. If I set up a Zoom call, would you take a moment to chat with them? So there's the if I, would you. So guys, that's it. It's very simple. I said I'd phone you at 10 o'clock. I phone you at 10 o'clock. You have some objections. 99% of them are handled here. So it's a very quick, easy process for you to go through, deal with the objections, and then set up the next connection. So that ends the training for skill 4. I'm going to move on to skill 5 next. I hope this has been helpful, and I'll see you in skill 5.